All right. What's going on, everybody? It's Sunday, and I was talking about two-note chords. That's going to be today's topic. With two-note chords, basically super easy, something we want to kind of address. And the reason I want to do that is because a lot of people overlook two-note chords, right? Now, guitar players do it all the time. And when I say two-note chords, because you're using two fingers on a guitar. So for a guitar player, it's super duper common. But as a synth player, where do two-note chords start to help us, and where do they come into play? Like, how do we use them? What do we do, right? So in today's stream, I'm going to kind of tackle that. Hopefully this is going to be easy to follow. I've cleared all the sequencers. It's kind of typically how I've been doing it lately on stream, is basically there's nothing loaded, and I just quickly pick a couple sounds. Now, when I build a drum beat, this is some of my secrets. I basically pick a couple sounds. I start with the core of the kick drum, I unmute all my drums, and then I kind of build it based on just super simple. Like today, I'm going to do like a snare beat that's very common, and I just make it super easy, right? Tempo is controlled by Ableton, which I can stop, and I can say, you know what? I want to change that tempo to like 95, right? And then I pick like my hi-hat track. And all of these samples are ones that I just find and load. They're all old drum sounds. They're from like the Lindrum or the Oberheim DX. I like a lot of those sounds. So when you hear the sounds that I use, maybe I use a little bit of reverb. And when I'm loading a sample, a lot of times I start from like somewhere in the middle of the sample, not from like the very beginning. So super easy beat. Now, I wrote a key signature here for two-note chords. Let me see how good anybody could see it. I'm going to try to put it somewhere where we can actually visualize this while we're playing, all right? So I wrote the key as C major, right? Hopefully you can see that. And then when we're looking at C, I'm going to just do a 6, 2, 3, 2. And those are very easy chords. But the reason I did it is, let's see. If I go to, yeah, there we go. So progression is as follows. I'm going to make it 2 bars long, or 4 bars long. And the secret here is that I wanted to show people me doing two-note chords, because this is for anybody who has trouble thinking with larger chord clusters. Okay? And when I do this, the simplicity here is multiple instruments make the chord. So if I make two-note chord on one of the sounds, another sound I may use from here or here may be the root note or a fifth from what that chord is. So I'm going to show you guys how this unfolds. It's super easy, and hopefully this is like very easy to follow. So I'm doing a 6, 2, 3, 2, and this is going to be our chord change, so you can follow at home if you want to practice the chord change with me. And then as follows. So kind of going super easy. 6, 2, 6, 2, 3. All right, so I'm going to record it now, so you guys got a gist of the sound. Now, I'm going to design that sound, too, once it's recorded. So you're going to notice me do a little bit of sound design after I play the chords. 3, 2, 3. And here we go. So 6 chords coming up. 2, 3, 2. All right, so Okay, now with two note chords, the idea that the bass now is going to fill up what I call the third, a third or a fifth, right? And a lot of times I'll do the root with the bass. All right, so right now when we play the bass sound, it's going to be. Let me make sure everything's in the same key. And again, that tonality, as you're playing, you're building these chords, right? So what if we did the bass first? Let's do that again. So here we are on the bass. 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 2, 4, 2, 3, 4. So that easy, you're doing the roots, right? So now, if I'm in the roots of it, let's and record it. 6, 2, 3. Right. Now these two sounds, these things are going to do that. Now what if I just stripped away? We're going to do this again. So now I'm going to make our lead sound now. We're just going to record one note on this next synth. And it's going to be the third. All right, ready? And I'm going to distort this one a little bit different. And filter it a little different. And now we're going to take another sound, and we're building a chord out of 3 sounds, right? And I'm going to work. It's kind of cool when you build chords like this too, because look, as I've dissected the sound, we're just listening to the 5th of the chord, right? So what if I want the 5th in the root? Well, I do the first sound and the third sound. So it's cool because now, yep. So it's the root sound in the 5th right now. So that's a 2-note chord, right? And now if I go to the next breakdown and only do the 3rd and the 1st. So now you just made a new part of your song. You're using 2 other voices of the chord, right? So let's talk about what we just did, okay, musically, right? So when you make a chord, this chord was basically A, C, E, right? And then this chord was a D, F, A. And then this chord was E, G, B. And then this was another D, F, A. And the secret is I did the bass sound here. I did the first synth here. And I did the second synth here. All right, you see how cool that is? Like right now, you are dividing your song, and when I said a 2-note chord, I'm actually meaning these two, okay? You're using two different synths, one sound apiece, monophonic. So these are both mono synths, right? Both of these guys, but that equals a 2-note chord. All right. Now this is an exercise. This is for you to practice, because a lot of times people don't think, "Oh, I don't have to work so hard on playing a chord with my one hand. And what if I'm not that skilled?" Right? Right? What if I have a really hard time playing chords with my fingers? So did you see how you just broke this down? Right? This makes it so much easier to play complex chords, because you can even use a synth, a note, you know? And that's what I did. I made each row, this is our bass row. So all these notes related to the bass sound, all these notes related to the first synth, and then all of these notes related to the second synth, okay? So in practice, that seems super duper easy, but as a writer, let's do it again, okay? Now, this is what I said. If you're following at home, you get your blank piece of paper so you can work with me, right? And this time I'm just going to pick a different starting point, end point. You know, I'm just going to do it easy again because I want you to learn, okay? So when I pick F, G, A, B flat, C, D, I picked an easy key again. And here are the chords that are based on this scale that I use, right? This time I'm just going to do a 2-3. Keep it easy for us, right? And a 2 chord is G, B flat, D. And what do you know? Another A, C, E, right? So that's a 2. That's a 3, all right? So let's look at how this is going to work. Because like I said, this doesn't have to be tough. All right? And pattern, new. All right? And I went to a new pattern. So this isn't a lie. Like I start over. Just like, you know, if I was going to write something brand new. So I pick a bass sound. And I pick a synth sound, right? So now... right, there's my sound. And now just as easy, this time we're going to do a little 4 on the floor. It's going to be super duper straightforward, right? So like I don't want this to be challenging. Track, kick drum, right? And then track, snare drum. Yeah. And then I can change those sounds, like I said, any sound I want to load. Oh yeah. We're going to do a rim shot. And then on the bass sound, I use a low tom, and I'm just gonna... Alright. Alright, super easy, right? Now, we're gonna do our chords. So if you're at home working with me, you know how easy this could be, right? If it's tough on you, you know, you can slow down the video when I'm done with the stream. Alright, super simple, right? And now my 2 chord, right? So we're with our bass sound. The 2 chord is a G, and then it's A. So like the notes here are just G is this one and A is this one. I'm gonna make it 4 bars long, right? And then I'm gonna hit record. And we're gonna try this out. This is gonna be kind of weird, but here we go. Here's our 2 chord, which is G. And then our A chord. Super simple, like I said. Okay, now that was the first note, the root, and now I'm going to do the third, which is like, you know, the B flat and the C, right? So it would be... That's how we'd make our chords. So here we go. We're going to try it. All right, I'm going to lower that sound. And I'm going to put... Okay, now what if I did the third sound, like I said, as that fifth of the chord, right? So D and E is going to be what the third sound are, right? It's kind of weird because it makes playing chords easier, right? Now, I didn't do anything to this sound. I didn't design it yet, but I'm going to do it. Here we go. So we're gonna play our sound. Okay, and I got that track muted. Yep. Now again, if we wanted to pull out the root sound, the bass sound, this is just the third and the fifth, right? And then if I wanted to just leave the bass in the third, right, you could do that. All right, now this sounds a little weird, no offense, but not better. I love this box. Right? But you know what I mean? This, I think, is the fun in you experimenting with playing 2-note chords, right? I do 3-note chords here because I'm teaching you guys how to use 3 different sounds, but the bass is always the root of something, and then the 2-note chord I get is from the next 2 sounds, right? So this 2-note chord philosophy or theory, it could make your life a little easier than you trying to think that you got to play 8 hands on the keyboard and drive yourself nuts. Well, maybe you make 4 different sounds and make a 4-note chord with 4 different sounds. You know, it's going to take some practice. This is something that doesn't happen overnight, all right? So if I wanted to try to like make this seem a little bit better, I know this is super cheesy, but we're going to work on this and I'm going to develop it a little bit more. So I know I get an idea. I know it doesn't always sound the greatest, but this is how you kind of can develop it too once you start working on something. So I start adding claps, some extra hi-hats. Let's see what happens. Okay, I'm going to mention something now. Each time you make another sound, you pick something from the chord, okay? And in this philosophy, right now, I'm only teaching you, the root, the bass, right? And the next 2 sounds. Now, we're building percussions above it, too, which make it way cooler. But, like, this, if you would imagine, is the bass sound. Or, like, these 2 notes, So this is all bass, right? And then this is our first synth. Right? And this is our second synth, okay? And what this provides is a 2-note chord. These 2 guys here, the build-up, this is the third of the chord, and this is the fifth. And you're making this with the synthesizers, not the bass. Because the bass is like an octave lower. It's like -1. And these guys are like octave +1, So when you're looking at your synth or the keyboard grid, another way to know this dividing line is doing it by frequency, right? And what does this teach us? This teaches us something really big too, is that the track is already EQing itself, okay? Now, the reason I teach this theory to a lot of my, electronic music students, a lot of my, rock students, a lot of my R&B students, is you can't crowd the bass. Everybody thinks they're making some big bass by adding more stuff and more stuff and more stuff, and that actually dilutes the strength of the sound. Less is always more, all right? And right now, that's why I'm not using a million sounds, too, while I make these tracks with everybody. I'm trying to keep it kind of minimalistic in teaching and in how I write. So you saw me write 3 really fast songs, and what happens in the electron world is I just hit the pattern button, and I go to a new pattern, and it's blank, right? And when I do that, there's nothing playing. So if I want to practice what I'm doing again, what I always recommend is have a quick template, have a way that you can clear everything as fast as you can, because when you practice, you really want to have that ability, right? You want to be able to slow things down and change things around, right? Now, what if I said, okay, right now I'm working on a new thing, right? Right, and if I'm doing it, again, as quick as possible, I'm going to just reuse these 2 chords, right? Make sure things aren't muted. And I quickly have a couple saved sounds. So what I mean is I can jump as fast as I can to a synth and have it ready, to go. Now, if I was doing a 2-3 here in the key of F major, I'm going to quantize my grid now and see if I can show you guys how fast I do this. So I'm in F, Ionian, right? And I'm doing a 2-3. I'm going to do my bass sound. I got to make pages, so I'm making 4 bars. All right, and record. All right, and we're going to record now. I'm just doing a 2-3 progression in the key of F. There we go. So super easy, like I said. Right, now that's my root. I played the root notes. So now I gotta play my 3rd, right? And I'm gonna quantize this. I'm gonna say F. And let's see what kind of starts. Let me pick a sound. Okay. My 3rd would be what? B flat. So 2-3, yeah, that one, and then this one. So here we go. The next is the 5th. I don't like the bell, it's too out of tune. So let's see if we can do this a little bit better. So my 5th, ready? automating some of the filter with like an LFO right now. But now you're seeing, like, if I make chords out of 3 different sounds, at first it doesn't start so cool, right? But once I start kind of dialing everything in, it's not so bad now. It just takes me a second to get it to that spot, right? So what I tell anybody is throughout the stream, sometimes I feel like I'm not working so good, and then all of a sudden everything starts kind of coming together, you know? And it takes a second in the studio for your ideas to come to life. So if you're watching me and at times you're like, man, what's kind of going on there, right? But anything that takes time, you know, anything that's good takes time, right? And this is me just kind of working up an idea. You know, what I would say is I start showing you guys how I add to the drum track. And it takes me a second too, because the first sound isn't always the sound I use, right? You can fix notes, you know, but right now we're getting into this rhythm. Here we are. We've got like a 2 chord. Here's our 2. And then here's our 3 chord, right? And like I said, the patience that it takes to kind of flush out these ideas. Now, that was a little more dubstep, just kind of messing around. But again, the bass sound was our root note. The first synth was our 3rd. And the second synth was our 5th. And it took me a little bit of time. I filtered down some of the sounds. And this is a technique that I'm sharing with everybody so that you can try to write, you know, music and not feel so stressed out when you make a chord. Right now, this is how guitar players think, because they're just playing the 1 and the 5. A lot of times power chords on a guitar are the 1 and 5 chord. So a lot of guitar players who are just learning, this might be some theory that you're like, oh, I've done this before. And for people who play keyboard and their hands hurt because they're trying to play 7, 12 notes at the same time or use all their hands, you know, maybe this will make you play a little less. I had a lesson this morning with an amazing YouTuber, so I do lessons a lot. And today it was James Nathan Jones, and one of his recommendations was to less is more, you know. And the less is more function is really tough because, again, we have all this gear, we have all these presets, we have all this stuff, and then we complain we can't make any music. And the idea is you got to stop trying to reach for a million things. You got to do a couple concise, precise things, you know. And when you do that, it's a lot more relatable for the people that are kind of listening. So that last song, a little corny, but, you know. Confidence that if you take the time, your idea will go somewhere really cool, right? Different synths at different octaves helps you divide the space, make breaks. Because if you make good breaks too, you don't sit listening to the same loop over and over again. Hopefully you're having a good Sunday. This was about 2-note chords. Hopefully this gives you some confidence to make some music for the weekend. I'm Joseph Haley. Hopefully you're liking the channel. Like and subscribe. You know, check out some of my other videos. If you have questions, you want to comment, leave me some comments. If you need help writing music, download some of my samples. try to get some inspiration out there. Hey, everybody, have a safe day. Don't do anything too crazy. I know a lot of people are having parties today. Don't go drinking and driving, and enjoy yourself, okay? Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the day.